Hi, I would like to introduce to you my presentation in a synthetic voice. It's like Stephen Hawking's voice but with more womanness.
No, I'm just kidding. Hello and welcome to my video tutorial. My name is Justin Kim and I'll be describing to you today about how one would write in pastiche. Pastiche is something such as a piece of writing or music that imitates the style of someone or something else. In written terms, it means simply to copy the style of another famous writer, or any writer whom you admire in honor of the writing style. Style can mean anything when it comes to the writer because anything they do can really define their style of writing, such as using characters or setting that's taken from the original story in writing, and integrating that into your own piece of writing. Pastiche, however, is not parody because parody is imitating the author's style to the point, like to point out flaws and creating irony to ridicule the author. Pastiche is also not plagiarism because plagiarism is simply taking the opinions and ideas of others and claiming it as ourselves. Well, the outcome of using pastiche will be new stories, twists, fan arts. There will be fan fiction endings to those unsatisfying cliffhangers you'd see inside famous movies and TV shows, or in writings such as The Iron Barred Door. How to pastiche? It's important to admit or indicate somewhere within your text that you're using someone else's style of writing, or else it'll be plagiarism and you'll be caught for it. To practice using pastiche, you would copy and paste the paragraph of the author's writing, delete everything but the verbs and nouns, and fill it in with your own words and ideas. The final product of this paragraph would look like something that you would write, but inside that writer's style, giving the illusion of writing in pastiche. Well, this is just for practice anyways, but yeah. Sorry about that little flicker. And then you would compare the paragraph to your original one to see where you went wrong, where you went right and such. How to write fast? You must have something that the audience can refer back to the original story of writing so they actually know that you're writing in pastiche, or else they would have no idea what you're talking about and it'll just seem like another story you made up. You can use the same characters to show like the same plot line or like using general references, or you can use the same settings like any, or no, just basically anything as long as it makes a reference to the original story. And from here you can feel free to change the characters, plot, point of views, setting. For characters you could write different plot, and for plot you could write using different characters or different settings. Point of view would make, like I would do, make a minor character into a protagonist to see the perspective of a minor character within that same context, and also change the setting. Just get creative. An example I would use is if an author wrote a book about a boy with a magical sword. See, the boy would use the magical sword to defeat monsters like this wretched thing. The end. A pastiche of that example would look something like this. A new dude has the same sword, and he does the same thing, except there's a different setting, some other guy wrote it, and the story and the plot is completely different. In here, the example would be the sword. The sword gave magical powers to the boy, and you'll see how the story is entirely borrowing the idea of the same sword and making a different story out of it. This example is the pastiche to the Iron Barred Door, which created the ending that fixed the nasty cliffhanger which ended the original Iron Barred Door. This example shows how it shows references to the same kite but elaborates further by using his or her interpretations. If you actually follow this link and read till the end, you can see how the writer try to actually follow the original writer's style. This I would say was a pretty good example. When and where pastiche? Anywhere and any time, because pastiche is used to fulfill an entertainment purpose, and unless you are a very popular blogger, people won't really wait and anticipate you writing one for them. It is very useful in developing your own writing style because you can worry less on the basic aspects of a story such as characters and settings, and more on the plot of how it develops and how you would integrate the themes and symbolism, etc. into your own writing. Fan-based stories are produced anywhere that have good books, movie, TV, anime, etc. because they like doing that kind of stuff. It's fun. Fan fiction and pastiche are mostly done after literary works becomes famous because that's when actually people would know that it's pastiche and they'd have fun with it. fooling around with it. And yeah, they're usually posted on websites and blogs because they're not really gonna get published because some of them are pretty bad. Anyone who can write can pastiche a piece of famous writing or literary work like stories, even famous writers and famous authors. It is popular amongst creative writers, however, because it's something involving style of writing. So fiction and stories work the best for putting creativity into practice. Audiences, like people who would read these, would mainly include anyone who happens to be a fan of those big books and literary works, for they will be the only ones who can actually get those references. Publishers also out for really good pastiches because the good ones are actually really popular in these days. Well, why pastiche? Well, it's a good way to channel your inspiration for when you see a very well written story or a book. It is also very fun to do because playing around with something old and turning into something new has always been fun to do. Everyone does it eventually. They are very entertaining to read also because I'm not there. Wait, 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 wait. There we go. They are also very entertaining to read if they're done right because they bring in new interpretations for when you want to read something like that's been played around with and toyed with because no one ever thought of them before. Which again is like really it ties in with the fun part because it's always entertaining to read something that's different that you don't see every day. It's also a really good way to develop personal style in writing if you're pursuing a creative writing career because pastiche, it's very good. And these are my sources in case people think I'm plagiarizing from other authors. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much.